What's up, guys, and welcome back to Wikup Entertainment. So the defense is questioning the chain of custody of evidence that was being transported from person A to person B to person C. The challenge that is there is that this evidence, as it was being transported from one person to another, it appears from the view of the defense that it was sort of being altered and being tampered with. This is the question by the defense.
Mr. Mangena told this court that the reason why he personally went to the SAP 13 himself is because Mr. Gininda told him that there is a firearm that warrant Officer Rule of the work on, which could be linked in this case. He then requested Mr. Mangena to go there personally fetch the firearm.
Mangena's evidence is that this firearm was involved in a Cleveland case where somebody else was charged with unlawful possession of that very same firearm, and that case was finalized. That's one of the aspects which you're not being told. That case was finalized. So according to Mangena, when he goes to fetch that firearm, it's supposed to be just destroyed. It's not going to be investigated in any other matter except the one which he assumes it could be relevant to. Okay.
Warrant Officer Rule of the work on this firearm. He completed his examination in this firearm, put it in the seal bag, and his firearm was sent back to the police station where it came from. And at the police station, it's Mr. Mchali then received instruction that he needed to prepare that firearm for destruction.
I understand, madam.
But before that process could eventuate, then Mr. Gininda approached or informed Mr. Mangena that no, that firearm that Officer Rule of the work on could be involved in this case.
I understand, madam.
Could you then please go and fetch it? That is exactly where I am.
So here's a timeline of the events that is actually occurring here. Is that in 2013, there was a cash in transit robbery that occurred in Johannesburg. During that cash in transit robbery, a firearm was stolen. So that case remained unsolved. Then in 2015, Mthobisi Mncube was then arrested for an unrelated matter. Then in his possession, he was then found with this firearm that was used in the cash in transit robbery. So this firearm was then done some forensic tests on it, and Mthobisi Mncube was then linked to this cash in transit robbery. So that's when he was then arrested. After being arrested, this firearm was then taken. It was then put in a bag, and that seal was then sealed, and this firearm was then stored at the Cleveland police station. And that case itself, it was sort of closed. So this firearm actually, it was scheduled for destruction in 2017. But due to some delays and stuff, this firearm was not destroyed. But then now, in 2020, Brigadier Gininda, the investigating officer, then told Colonel Mangena, the ballistic expert, that there is a firearm that is at Cleveland police station that could be linked to the Meyiwa trial. Can you please go there to Cleveland police station, retrieve the firearm, and do some tests on it and find out if it is linked to this Meyiwa case? Mangena went to Cleveland police station, retrieved the firearm, did some tests on it. Then boom, Mthobisi Mncube was then linked to this Meyiwa case with this firearm. So can you imagine like the coincidence, or could you say the luck that was involved here? Because this firearm actually, it was actually scheduled for destruction in 2017 because it was linked to this cash in transit robbery in 2013. But the challenge that is there, that is being questioned by the defense, is that this firearm was stored at Cleveland police station in a bag which was sealed. Then this seal was actually broken, and Brigadier Gininda then said, okay, go Colonel Mangena to Cleveland police station, retrieve that firearm. Then that firearm was then retrieved and it was linked to Mthobisi Mncube. And surprise, surprise, the forensic experts who did the investigations on all of this, they did not include in their report that this firearm was actually linked to this cash and transit robbery that was done some years ago. They just did their test and confirmed that it's linked to Mthobisi Mncube and it was used at the Meyiwa case. Now, the big questions that are there is that this firearm was actually linked to Meyiwa 5 years later on. And the issues that actually there is that this firearm, it could have been tampered with or swapped during that period, because we all know the evidence is there that the seal that was found in that bag, it was actually broken. And obviously, the ballistic experts, they are defending themselves and saying, despite that the seal was actually broken, the evidence remains intact and very much reliable, because they did all of the tests, and the cartridges from the Meyiwa crime scene actually matched the confiscated firearm. That is the defense that the ballistic experts are actually bringing to themselves, to say everything is actually matching despite the seal being broken. And on top of that defense, the state is simply saying that the Cleveland police station was simply holding the firearm, and it was not like a crime laboratory or a forensic laboratory to be testing this. And they were actually questioning the defense back to say that, okay, if you are saying this firearm was actually swapped, where is the original one? Obviously, the defense does not have proof or answers to all of these questions. But the only proof that they have is that the seal was actually broken. And then Gininda then told Colonel Mangena to say the firearm is there at Cleveland police station. Go there, get it, do some tests on it. So obviously the next question that we might have is, how did Gininda know that this firearm is actually there at Cleveland police station? Well, this is an investigating officer. And with these investigations, he found it out. Because Mthobisi Mncube was arrested in 2020. So during his investigations, that's when Gininda then discovered that this guy that he actually has in 2020, Mthobisi Mncube, was actually arrested in 2015 in Cleveland with a certain firearm in his possession. So that's when Gininda then requested for that firearm, for tests to actually be done on that firearm. And that's when then a match was done. But the only problem is that the firearm that was stored there at Cleveland, the seal on that bag, it was broken. So Gininda's knowledge of this firearm presence at Cleveland police station, it resulted from investigations which linked Mthobisi Mncube to this firearm. So the defense is actually questioning the ballistic experts to say that, how can you receive an exhibit with a broken seal, then continue to do your tests on it, and you give your results back to these investigators? That is like violating standard procedures. You shouldn't be doing that. So instead of going round and round in circles, let's look at the proper procedure that is there formally. Should like forensic experts receive a firearm from investigators with a broken seal, the proper procedure says that no, forensic experts should not receive a firearm or any evidence whatsoever with a broken seal. A chain of custody should be maintained with an unbroken chain of custody, and every individual who handles that evidence must be documented. But unfortunately, in this scenario, all of these proper procedures were actually broken. So here what is happening is that the defense is actually creating uncertainty through this breaking of the seal, and they are trying to convince that the chain of custody for these firearms was actually compromised. And if Judge Rat actually agrees with the defense, the prosecution of the case is going to weaken very, very, very much, because they did not follow procedures, as you just saw, and they did not acknowledge or document that this seal was actually broken. It was only discovered by the defense themselves when they were now doing their own investigations. So tell me what you think in the comment section. I'll catch you guys in the next one.